This the one? Yeah. Okay. So, how do I introduce this? ஒரு செகண்ட் டவுன் பண்ணிடுங்கண்ணா. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் போர்டு யூஸ் பண்ணிக்கிறேன். See, now what we are going to do today is we are going to look at some basic concepts in political science. Okay, this is also from your NCERTs, and overall the sort of issues involved when you talk about the Indian Constitution. Okay, so this has been my sense of the situation, that generally in India, when we use terms liberty, equality, sovereign, whatever, I don't think we use it in an educated way, largely speaking, because all these terms are terms in a theory. It's like space-time. To talk intelligibly about space-time, you have to know the concept behind the word. Correct? But we don't know it, which is why you hear odd statements. So, you try to watch the culture or the people debating to get an idea of where the society is, right? So the other day I was watching a Tamil channel and there was a debate going on. And I think this guy made a claim, something in the sense of the government has the right to. Right? That would be an absurd thing to say. Governments never have rights, only individuals have rights. State only has powers. It doesn't have rights. You can't use that word. It makes no sense. It's unintelligible to proponents of the theory, for instance. Now, if you talk about space-time in a certain way, if you say, for instance, the space and the time பத்தி நீங்க வந்து உங்களோட generic இதுல சொன்னீங்கன்னா, that is not intelligible to a scientist. Right? In the same way, generally when in India we talk about certain things, it's not intelligible to political scientists. Which is why we don't have political science theories which of our own. I can't think of any that we have. Amartya Sen has come up with one. But that too is somewhat within the Western context, not within the Indian context. Okay, so let us learn how to use these terms first, so that when you know how to use these terms, then you can identify certain things. When you're going to even mark your answers, what constitutes, for instance, liberty, what constitutes justice, that sort of thing. Okay, so I cannot, as you all know, again, the scope of the class is limited. So I'm only going to give you a very superficial summary. We cannot get into the in of the subject as much. I can talk about the subject for now. Okay? In the subject, take something. Well, I'll try to do a mix of both. But for you, what's important is the about as of now. Okay? I'll try to give you the in so that you can start talking about it in better ways. Okay? So, what are the two primary words that come to our mind? Like in the 21st century, let's leave the theocracies aside and the dictatorships. Two buzzwords which are taken for granted, the highest values that we have as of now as a civilization. What are those two buzzwords? Rights. Rights avada perusa. Rights exist within what? What is it? Okay, super. Simplest definition of democracy. Give me a textbook, give me your textbook definition, or what I would say like the cliched definition. It's fine, it's a good enough definition. What is it? For the people, by the people. So shall we surukify this as rule of people? Acceptable formula? Yeah. What constitutes people? Who are the people? How do you make decisions in democracy? What is it? You elect it by how? Whose decisions wins? People's. But what people? The majority. Let us all vote Hitler to power. Is it still democracy? Right? So in US they thought black people were not human beings and it was a majority. Right? Something that I don't think that's the same phenomena that exists here with this, what we call the Dalit and the subaltern class. It's not the exact same phenomena, it's a variation, but it's not the same in a lot of ways, because it's, Dr. Ambedkar was right, it's multiple warring castes. There's no clear split between white, black per se. Okay, the splits are not very clear. That's why we don't have a theory of caste yet, which explains what caste is, right? We have ideas about the caste system, but it doesn't really explain much. All it says is there's discrimination. Okay, but we know that, right? A theory doesn't do that, right? Theory says, okay, there is light. What does a theory say? It says light is made of photons, right? It helps you understand the phenomena further. Correct? So we don't have a theory yet, is what I'm trying to say. So, then it wouldn't count as democracy, no? So then what is important? To protect those people. Rights exist where? Superb. Acceptable formula? Yeah. So this is like dependent co-arising of Buddhism. They arise together. You cannot talk about one without the other. Yeah. This is easy to understand. You have an electoral system, you vote people to power, it's democracy. Right? That's what the word means. This not so easy to understand. Constitutionalism. This is what helps your judges, lawyers, and your scholars make a living, because they understand the discourse of this. Right? Now, constitutionalism, this rule of law, does not mean a written constitution. So then your question is, what the hell does this mean? Where does this notion arise from? You know my answer to that. I'm not going to give you that answer for this class. Okay. Constitutionalism is a sort of natural law. So when you say these are the rights we have because we are human, therefore we have human rights. So this notion of constitutionalism basically means, in a lot of ways, God-given rights. Who's the father of constitutionalism? John Locke. Right? Before John Locke, there was no notion of constitutionalism. There was a rule book. A rule book is different. Now these people make a rule. Right? Saying that you can exploit them. That's still a rule, no? But you don't, it's not an acceptable rule. Why? Because they say that there is something called a natural law or God-given law. And God has endowed you with rights. Well, what is the terminology of Locke? I don't want to say rights now. We'll get into rights, but it's three things, three words. Life. Life ku appuram enna varum? Liberty. Property is what Locke said, but that has been turned into happiness. This one idea has been the culprit of humankind. Because what happened is he said property. Americans replaced property with happiness. So when they mean happy, they mean property. So if you consume more, you are happy. You get it? So this is where the confusion has happened. They replaced in the American Constitution property with happiness. Locke said property. புரிஞ்சுதா? So in other words, your right to life ன்னு ஒன்னு படிக்கிறீங்களா? Indian Constitutionல எங்க இருக்கு? 21ல இருக்கு. Good. அதுதான் இது. ஆனா இந்தியால ரைட் டு ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி கிடையாது. That's the funny thing about India. ராக பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி தான் வந்து பிரைமரி. ப்ராப்பர்ட்டினால உங்களுக்கு இந்த ரெண்டு ரைட்ஸ். லாக் பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் இதெல்லாம் டிரைவேட்டிவ் ரைட்ஸ். இந்தியாவில் வந்து ப்ராப்பர்ட்டியை தூக்கிட்டோம், அது லீகல் ரைட்னு சொல்லி. So that is why here life and liberty வந்து we don't have proper theories. We don't have a proper theory of liberty for that reason, because we picked a throughout property. Okay, so these are some comedies that happen in life, right? So the consequences are tragic. That's the problem, which is why the Greeks had a notion of tragedy and comedy which walk together. If there is a tragedy at one view, it will look like comedy. If there's a comedy in one view, it will look like tragedy. The consequences will be tragedy. It's not in the modern sense of the word, the way the Greeks thought about tragedy and comedy. Comedy means happy ending. Tragedy means sad ending. Avladhan. The way they thought about it. Right? So now, I hope you got this idea. Now, generally in this political science discourse, Supreme Court judgments, everything, these things are always at war. Always. They don't coexist. Which is why you have so many cases and you have a judge to decide. Okay? Your parliament works here. Your judges work there. Supreme Court. Which is why Supreme Court is most important in a democracy. Now, at what point in history did the court become so important? Anybody? Democracy existed first where? Let us leave ancient history. Let's believe that modern history is history of the world. Okay, let's buy into the story. Okay? So, democracy enga first vanduchu according to the modern story? In the West, in Europe. Who did slave trade? Europeans. Right? Well, Americans, the Europeans in America primarily contributed to slave trade. These guys did indentured labor, right? Which is a lesser form of slavery in some ways. Okay. So now, that idea, where did it originate? Okay. So at this point in history, the judges become important and rule of law becomes important. Notion of natural law becomes important. And this natural law, as I said, are the laws that you have by the virtue of being human. It is your God-given endowed rights. So is that a secular concept or a religious concept? Don't answer that question. Better you don't answer that question. Okay? So, anyways. Okay, so now the stage is set now for us to discuss things. These things are always at conflict. Okay? It's not a very new conflict. This is a conflict that the Greeks were dealing with, for instance. They called the conflict between nomos and phusis. That is eternal law and man-made law. That is the sort of fight. You get it? That is the sort of fight that went on. That these two have to map onto one another. They have to become harmonious. Okay? That was the notion that the Greeks had. But we won't get into the Greeks, because they actually had brains. So, we'll look at this. Now the stage is set, okay? They always exist together. Now, all the conflicts that you see in law and in modern democracies will arise from this inherent conflict between democracy on one hand and constitutionalism on the other hand. That is this natural law. Now, what does that natural law really say? That natural law really says is that you cannot completely trust the majority to come up with what is good and right. Okay? Now, what is good and right, according to the moderns, is defined in terms of property. Now, that's the problem. Whereas the ancients didn't define it in terms of property. They described it in terms of virtue. You would have heard of virtue ethics, which Immanuel Kant revives later. But except Immanuel Kant's virtue ethics is another big 1000-page comedy. That's what it is. But we won't get into Kant and all that. But you should know these. Okay? என்னன்னா இப்போ டெமோக்ரஸியில் இருக்கிற பீப்புள் வந்து they were oppressing, democracy in பேர்ல they were oppressing the black people. Now there were some people within that majority who felt like this can't be the truth. Okay, somehow you feel equal. For that they needed a rational source. What was the only source available? God. Because if you look at nature, it's hardly equal. People kill each other, no? Animals kill each other. Chimpanzees kill each other. Right? So if you have to make a scientific argument, it's very difficult to make an argument for equality. But there is a moral sense within you which feels like you shouldn't kill another person. It's not so obvious. Right? Which is why David Hume famously said you cannot derive an ought from an is. அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. What is? Now, for instance, if you say it is bad to kill, okay, it is not an is statement. Because you already presuppose that you should not kill. It's not so evident as an is statement. Correct? So it is an ought statement. This is something that you guys should know as people who study political science as well as economics. There are is statements and there are ought statements. The is statements is called the science or the empirical statements. Okay? The ought statement is otherwise called the moral, subjective, இங்க objective போட்டுக்கோங்க. Subjective statement. Okay? But like I told you, there is a logical fallacy that you can't derive an ought from an is. Okay? Which is why you have all kinds of problems that go on in the world. But this is called the empirical statement. Okay? For instance, you say the empirical statement right now in economics, let's say poverty exists. It's an empirical truth. It's a scientific statement. You can measure poverty. Poverty should not exist. Therefore, we have to move society towards a certain way. That is an ought. Now, if you do your poverty welfare schemes, it is an ought. It's not an is. புரிஞ்சுதுங்களா? No. Oughts are never objective. Because, for instance, if you have to take a decision, right? What you ought to do now that the poverty is not there, that you want to get rid of poverty. Some people will say, you measure poverty this way. If I give you income, you are done. That fellow says that that is not qualitative. We have to give certain amount of nutrients. So we draw the poverty line based on nutrients. Then they say, no, we need micronutrients. So poverty ought to be measured based on micronutrient. Okay? But fact that poverty exists is objective. Okay? You cannot say that is subjective. Okay? Now let's not go into the philosophical thing because there's a circularity that you'll get within here, but that is a knowledge of the is part of the subject. We won't get into that. Okay? So when I'm going to use these words empirical and normative in class, empirical ought is also a normative statement. The word is அங்க வந்து normative-ங்கறதையும் என்ன எழுதிக்கோங்க. This is what I mean by normative, and that's what I mean by empirical. So empirical is also scientific. The normative is moral. Okay? So this is all I wanted to say. Now that we've set this out, yeah, go on. Yeah, for now, yeah. That's a better way to see it. Okay? But your notion of real is an entire sort of a debate in Western philosophy. What is real? Right? So if you are depending on empiricism, I see the world as flat. It looks real, but is it real? How do you know it's not real? How do you come up with it? Right? So that's the difference. That's the difficulty. Okay? So then, which is why capitalists will say this problem, poverty exists. No, poverty doesn't exist. Only incompetence exists. Right? So that's the beauty of Western philosophy. You can shift anything if you're good with words. If you sell your soul, you will be rewarded. Provided the soul exists. Now what happens if the soul doesn't exist? You're free. Anyways. So, constitutionalism la, we see two things. What we call as natural law, which I explained, correct? Which is your constitutional principles. Your preamble is all natural law. Your fundamental rights, primarily Article 14, 19, 21 is all natural law. What you call as legal rights within the Constitution, they all are what you call positivist law. Now, how does this tie in with your ideas in democracy? Can somebody make a connection? What is this positive? We saw democracy. There are two types of democracies, or two aspects to democracies, not types, two aspects. What are those two aspects? Superb, brilliant. Procedural and super. What correlates to which? I told you constitutionalism and democracy have to always map onto each other. Correct? Natural law maps onto which part? Super. Procedural maps onto which? Got it? That's all it is. So you didn't see the election video. Anyways, so the procedural aspect of democracy. So we talk about due process. Maneka Gandhi case la what came about? Due process of law. Before that, what existed? Good. This is there, no. This is this. This is there, no. This is this. You understand what those two are? Okay. Now we'll correlate one more aspect. Separation of powers. What are the three? Come on, tell me this at least. Tell me this. Executive, legislative, judiciary. Now when we say due process, what does it mean? The power of who? Judiciary to check who? Superb. Primarily, but when we say this, we mean this. But when we say this, we mean only this. The judiciary to check the executive rules. Not the person who's making the rules, not the content of the law. Puriyudhungala? Only the word of the law can be checked when they check the executive. Because parliament is sovereign. In Britain, which is why the judiciary always checks only if the procedure is followed. It doesn't check if the law itself is screwed up. There is no concept of natural law in Britain. For who? For the judges. Natural law is best understood by the legislative. Therefore, they are enlightened to make the rules. So you cannot question the legislative. Therefore, parliament is sovereign. In the US, the parliament legislative are idiots because they said black people are 50% animals, which is not a scientific fact. Therefore, the judges have access to rational, enlightened self-interest. So who has access to rational, enlightened self-interest? Now, in short, who has access to natural law? In short, who has access to God? Okay? That's what it means. But don't write this anywhere. You say natural law. Natural law is a secular concept. Okay? Natural law is a secular concept. Please drill that into your heads for now. But unless you explain it this way, nothing makes sense. Okay? Because that natural law is an abstraction. It's not a fact in the world. It's not an is. Okay? So this is the difference. You understood the difference? Procedure established by law we had till 1974 for a Maneka Gandhi case. 78. I don't know the dates. Case 1 and the other 73, 74. Huh? So that one. Till then we had procedure established by law, which is we were following the British system more. Okay. After 74, we get the due process of law, otherwise called substantive, what do you call it here? Due process of law. So in American terminology, how they say is they have only one. They have something called due process, which is referring to constitutionalism. This is divided into two. They divide this into procedural and substantive. It's a better way of doing it, procedural and substantive. This is how the American law describes it. In India, we say procedure established by law, and we say due process in general. புரிஞ்சுதுங்களா? அங்க வந்து இதுதான் சொல்லுவாங்க. This is divided into two types அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு சொல்லுவாங்க.
But what would they call as a substantive? We call it substantive thing as this due process.
Yeah, we call it as due process.
What would they call as substantive?
No, அவங்களோட category due process. They divide that into two, substantive and procedural. So you have to understand the word, context of the words. புரிஞ்சுதா? அவங்களுக்கு ஒரே கான்செப்ட் தான், டியூ ப்ராசஸ் மட்டும்தான். அந்த டியூ ப்ராசஸ்ல என்ன பிரச்சனைன்னா, அமெரிக்கால அவன் ஃபர்ஸ்ட்ல இருந்தே டியூ ப்ராசஸ்ன்னு சொல்லும்போது இது ரெண்டுமே இன்க்ளூடட். ஃபர்ஸ்ட்ல இருந்தே அவன் வந்து லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவா செக் பண்ணலாங்கிற ஒரு ஹிஸ்டரி இருக்கு. இப்போ நீங்க லெஜிஸ்லேட்டிவா செக் பண்ண முடியாதுன்னு முதல்ல இந்தியாவில் இருந்துச்சு, ப்ரொசீஜரல் தான் இருந்துச்சு. இது நீங்க ஆட் பண்ணும்போது தான் ஒரு புது டெர்மினாலஜி தேவைப்படுது. ஆமா, they are not combining, they came first. We are doing this. Okay, that's a better way of looking at it. Okay, so there you go. If you want to know what natural law is and what positivist law is. Okay, man's laws are this called positivist law, or what you call as legal right, comes from that. Your rights that you derive, your fundamental rights come from this. Your legal rights come from that. You get it? Purunjida? Is it clear? So this, they say, natural law based upon principles and truth inherent to creation. Okay, so this is otherwise the concept of intrinsic, which is within, harmonized with the due to understanding and knowledge. Knowledge, why the judges are the most learned, which is why they undergo training in law, because they believe as Hamilton famously said, the masses are asses, therefore we need the judges. One of the founders of America. Okay, in India what can we say? Wherever you see there is an ass. That's the problem. Okay, in Britain the masses are the people that you trust. Okay, because they are the legislators, you vote for them. Yeah, okay, so universals exist and applies anywhere in the universe regardless of location. So this natural law is something which is universal. It applies to all time, places, it transcends space and time, causation and all that. So Immanuel Kant would have written about this, but this is what natural law is. Syria? Eternal, immutable, all that sort of thing. Man's law based upon dogmatic beliefs, which is otherwise it means constructs of the mind. Something that you construct as law, you make it as law. It's not a special law, you see. It's not a special access to something else, right? Because they needed special access to something else to tell them that black people were human. Otherwise they didn't know. Poor people, right? So complies with due to fear of punishment. Okay, here the primary thing that you do is fear of punishment. அதனால தான் இந்த கான்ஃப்ளிக்ட் பார்த்துட்டே இருப்பீங்க. People who argue against death penalty will be making an appeal to this, human rights, natural law. These fellows will say punishment. There's nothing called natural law. There's nothing called spirit and all that. We also see this in cricket, no? This fellow did that man-cading, Ravichandran Ashwin, right? People were talking about spirit of law. He's like, where is the spirit? Show me the spirit. Only then I'll believe. That's what he said. The rules say this, I can do this. So I can do it out there. Positivist law, Leviathan. See? So that's the thing. Yeah, natural law they say is, it's more to do with the spirit. But he says, I cannot see the spirit. Show me the spirit, where is soul? These fellows say, no, that's intrinsic, but you don't have access to it because you're an idiot. What's his name? Ilamaran, you're an idiot. Because you don't have special access to it. You need to study law, get a degree. Then you'll have access to it. Okay? And you have to understand moral philosophy. No, it is absolute. Natural law is absolute. This itself shows difficulty in understanding this concept. It's absolute. Oh, you mean like life, liberty, and we have restrictions on it, for instance. Okay. Now you are asking me a question within the subject. Okay. This is where positive liberty, negative liberty comes in. We'll go to it next. I'll explain that to you. Okay. So, yeah, I get what you mean. The point is, in principle, it's absolute. On earth, it's corrupt. Yes, yes. Yes, it's not universal. It's not, which is why it's absurd. But we function this way. So, that is why you have postmodernism, multiculturalism. You have socio-cultural rights. They say nothing is absolute, therefore everything is, whatever I say is the thing. There is no universal at all. There is a very deep problem in philosophy between universalism and particularism, which Plato pointed out. These fellows took it and changed that universal particularism argument and made a whole, what would you say, whatever we see now out of it. Yeah? By misunderstanding Plato and Socrates. That's where the issue happened. Okay? So, this is what democracy is. So, now coming to Ramya's question. Next slide le irukku. Thank God. Okay. So, you have these God-given rights. Okay. So, when you say liberty, what was the first God-given right I said? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. But primarily liberty. Let's forget life because we don't have scientific definition of life yet. We don't know what it is. Right? Bhuvani said it was something to do with mRNA, DNA becoming mRNA and coding for protein. That's a better way to talk about it at least. At least you know what life is before you make such claims. Right? So, liberty. What is liberty? Liberty is your ability to do what you want to do with absolutely no restraints, which is how Locke defined it. Okay? Because when Locke was writing, America was untouched as a land. It was, the frontier was open. Okay? You could do whatever you want to do with the land. Right? Because it's a huge country. America is a vast country. Right? The lands are big. Everything is big about it. Right? Including their egos. This is where you have American exceptionalism. First time I went there, I'm used to seeing human-sized Cheetos. Okay? When I went there, I saw genetically modified or I don't know, alien Cheetos. It was this big. Literally. And people would eat 2 packets of this in a day. It's unbelievable. And once you go into an American supermarket, it is more like, at least as well, nowadays it's all coming up here also. So I don't think it will make much of a difference. But it still makes a world of difference. When you go, if you see one item, it will be the same item, branding, packaging, mati. There will be 300 varieties of Cheetos, for instance. So everything is big. That's what I want to tell you. America is about bigness, not huge-heartedness. That's a different thing. It's a bigness. American exceptionalism. Okay? Oh yeah, that's the only way to drive the market, because economics makes the assumption that resources are unlimited. Therefore, human wants are unlimited. No, it says human wants are unlimited. They recognize that resources are limited. But you can only say, அதுக்குள்ள போக வேண்டாம். Okay? I don't want to philosophize here. So positive. So for your freedom to do anything, absence of, இதெல்லாம் கேட்பாங்க, absence of what? Restraints. This is what you talk about when you talk about liberty. Well, I want to right now go and punch Pandian in the face. I feel like it. Why? I don't have to justify it's my liberty. It's a problem. So how do you justify that I should not do that? My freedom too should not hurt his freedom too. Okay? Locke says that you allow property, you pursue property as long as enough is left for everybody else. But then you say human wants are unlimited. So how much is enough? Okay, so that's political economy. We won't go there. Seriya? So this is basically freedom to do what you want. Okay? So freedom to ன்ட்டு உங்க கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்ல நம்ம கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்ல எங்க வேர்ட் ஆயிருக்கும்? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 19, brilliant. Okay, this is freedom to do something. Sorry, I got it all confused. This is freedom from, I was explaining freedom from, I was explaining negative liberty. Freedom from state intervention. Okay, freedom from being oppressed. So your equality, Article 14 and Article also the other one. 15. All this will be worded in negative terms. They shall not deprive you. That's all negative liberty. That you should not be controlled. Abdinte. Okay? So, but this is where the dilemma arises. If I should not be controlled, then I can go and punch Pandian. Okay? I can do it in practice. This is a principle, but in practice I can do that. Right? And because nobody should stop me. Then they say, no, there's another kind of liberty, and that is the freedom to do something. Right? And everybody should have the freedom to do, all those different freedoms that you have under Article 19. All those. And as long as yours, and life and liberty also, and as long as yours doesn't infringe upon his, then it's fine. Okay? That's the concept of positive liberty. Okay? So, natural law is perfect, but when it comes to earth, it is corrupted. Therefore, we come up with these concepts to move towards natural law. Okay? We bridge the concepts. Yeah? Fine. Now, these are the primary liberties that you want to think of. இதெல்லாம் வந்து classifications தான். இதெல்லாம் theoretical terms கிடையாது. Political, economic, இதெல்லாம் வந்து they are all not theoretical terms. They are all சும்மா. In the sense they are categories, classification. Right? Classification is not theory. You just classify them to study certain things. No? So, one theoretical term, which is also classification, is this notion of civil liberty. Okay? By civil liberties, what they are talking about is okay, how do I simplify it without introducing Locke? Okay, civil liberties is basically what it tries to mean is, okay, this we know, there's a because now only right to privacy is coming up. So, private versus public irukkuda? Private versus public irukkuda? Generala? So, your positive liberties are generally your public liberties. You got it? They're generally your public liberties. It's not your private liberty. It's not that is something that exists within you. These civil liberties are your private liberties. How do you define public and private goods? Economics. That's the definition. Non-excludable, non-rivalrous in consumption. Right? So rights and these things are also thought of in terms of objects. Think about it that way. It's so difficult intuitively for the Indian mind to do that. But only when you do that, you'll understand political theory. Rights and all these things, you have to look at them as objects. You speak about rights and all these things in the same way you speak about things. Apart from when you go to natural law, because there you need special access. Okay? You get it? So this is what you refer to as civil liberties. It is mostly the liberties you have as by the virtue of you personally, in the personal sphere. Okay? Idhukku law la there's a huge debate that he goes on between family and state. Who should raise the children? Is it family or state, etc., etc. Adhula irundha vanda idea the civil liberties. Okay? So when we speak of political liberties, we are mostly referring to all these three somewhat. A combination of all these three. Okay? India la economic liberty irukkuda? Indian constitution la. Freedom to trade irukku. Ana word enna? Liberty to trade ah? Huh? No, what is the word used? Is it right to trade or is it freedom to trade? It's freedom to trade. You're right. It's not the right to trade. We would have confused it. In the Indian constitution, heading freedom irukku, right to irukku, idu rendu interchangeable use pannirpaanga. You get it? When you say freedom to trade, freedom is a socialist concept. It's not a, freedom doesn't mean liberty. So the Marxists are always about freedom, not the liberals. The liberals are about liberty, but these words are used interchangeably. So freedom includes an economic element to it. When you use the word freedom, not in terms of India became free, not that. But when you're talking about political theory, when you use the word freedom within this context, Seriya, that's what it means. Seriya? So economic liberty India la illa, but libertarians into a school irukanga US la, free markets, Washington consensus model. Okay? Your right to produce, it must be unlimited. Government thodave kudadade, and a government is an idiot. Market is God. Okay? And people have interpreted market as God, saying invisible hand and all of that. Okay? According to the socialist, state is God. As Hegel proclaimed, state is the march of God on earth. And Marx was a student of Hegel. Okay? So who determines? That's the fight actually. If all of these things confuse you, this is what it is. Okay? So, economic liberty is that. I just explained it now. Your right to produce anything without any constraint. Personal is correlative to civil. Okay? India, you will introduce new concepts, things like social liberty and all people will speak about. I don't know what that is. I have not heard about it, but people will use those terms very loosely. Okay? So generally when people speak, you want to be clear. What are you talking about? Right? So when I say light, what do I mean? I feel lighter, do I mean lighter? Right? So all terms are terms within a theory. Theory purilina term puriyadu. Okay? So terms purinjittu theory purinjadha nenichikadinga. That's false knowledge. But people will never give you theoretical knowledge. At least the Indian education system struggles to. Yes, because we have a socialist base. We don't have economic liberty. It's not there in the preamble. Yeah, we don't have. But though the Supreme Court judgments will imply that. For instance, they have said under companies law that corporations are people or they're private entities. That would constitute economic liberty in some ways. We don't have it in the constitution. So as far as you're concerned, no. Okay? But the judgments say otherwise. So it's funny in a lot of ways. Because things changed after 91. Right? People are making the argument for economic liberty now. When you're going towards corporatization, you're automatically going there. You're considering corporations to be people. So, American judges, you see, they had this wisdom to understand that corporations are people. What a great insight. But black people are not people. Wow, no? Amazing. Right? So, anyways. Now, what is the scientific claim there? Corporations are people. Can you make it a scientific claim? Isn't that absurd in some ways? Yeah. Anyways, let's go. They have special access, I told you. You don't. That's why you're asking these. So, yeah. So these are the funny accidents of history. இந்தியாவில் வந்து அந்த லாங்குவேஜே இல்லை, அதுக்கு உயிர் இருக்குன்ட்டு வந்து நம்மளோட இன்ட்யூட்டிவ் நாலேஜ் அவங்க இப்போதான் ரெகக்னைஸ் பண்றாங்க அதுக்கெல்லாம் லைஃப் இருக்குன்ட்டு. நம்மளுக்கு சயின்டிஃபிக் நாலேஜ் முன்னாடி யூ யூஸ் டு சே எவ்ரிதிங் ஹேஸ் லைஃப். And then you have to question how Indians define life. Now that is a topic in Indian thought. Yeah. And Indian religions. Okay. So, next, this is my favorite. Equality. Now equality co-arises with liberty. This concept of equality. Okay. In India, one of the things that I see is, I'm very happy that people are concerned about equality. We should all be concerned about equality. But you have to know what it is before you can be concerned about it. That's the problem. We have sloganeering of equality. Okay. By that, it means something along these lines. We are all against poverty. We are all against oppression. We are all against these things. Yeah, we should be against these things. That is an easy claim to make. But saying what it is a completely different thing. Yeah, that is the realm of philosophy. And without that, without theory, you cannot build an equal society. Because the fact is, people kill each other, people hate each other. So then how do you build a theory of equality? And then you give that to people and then they'll start saying, yeah, we are all equal. Otherwise, you just keep imposing this as a normative claim. Okay? And that never comes about. So we'll see in the history how this term evolved, this equality, how it evolved. So let's go to the first slide. If there are 3 books you should read to know about these topics, it's these 3. Leviathan, because he comes up with law and legal equality, legal sovereignty and all that, everything to do with legal. This fellow Locke came about with natural law. Yeah, and he came about with liberties. Okay, and this is Immanuel Kant. Actually what happens is, this fight between democracy and this is there, no? It takes on very ugly proportions, which is what we saw during the world wars. So Europeans, philosophy and the whole European world was in a sort of disarray, how to organize ourselves. And then the savior came, the savior of humanity, Immanuel Kant, who came up with the idea of human rights and saved everybody. Okay? I don't believe any of this, but I'm saying that's the story. Okay? Yeah? இதுவாப்பா? Okay. We'll see this. சரியா? So, இந்த legal equalityங்கிறது வந்து என்னடான்னா, it is nested within what? Which law? Law பார்த்தோம், 2 types of law. Positivist law. Correct? So, then what equality meant is equality before the law and equal protection of law. Equality before the law we got from who? No, which country? We didn't write. We got it from somewhere, no. Is there in your Lakshmikant pa? Britain. Britain. I heard it as written. Okay. I was like, okay, this is USA. Okay. Now, what do these two terms mean? Equality before the law. Appadidana, if you go to the law will apply to you equally. Okay. So, in some ways, when we make arguments for social justice, you cannot make it before this. You can say that the state should not treat you unequally in a lot of ways. Right? If there is a law saying something, that law has to be, remember, universal. It has to apply equally to everybody. So for instance, your reservation and that sort of arguments will not be, it's not based on this. That's based on Rawlsian argument. It's very different. So it is based on this. இது என்னடான்னா நீங்க ஒரு legal counsel முன்னாடி போனா அந்த காலத்துல எப்படி இருந்துச்சுன்னா black people க்கு வேற law, white people க்கு வேற law. So it has to be equal law. Right? In some ways in Manusmriti it was that way. Okay? So the law has to apply equally. That's what it means. Right? It doesn't talk about making special provisions, that sort of thing. This concept. That concept is there, but it's different. Equal protection of the laws. This is a negative wording. In the sense it says, nobody should be treated unequally. That's how this will be worded. This one is a positivist because it says the law will protect you equally. Okay? So when black people got equal rights, this came about. Because they wanted a special guarantee. Okay? It will protect you equally. That is the point. No, equal protection of law basically means that the law should be the same for everybody. Okay? There it was basically that the law applied only to white people. Okay? Equal protection of law, reword eppadi பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா treating equals equally. Now how you define equal is the entire problem in philosophy. Do you do it based on need, merit? Do you do it based on, what do you do it based on? What is equality anyways? That's a question in philosophy no one has solved. Plato has solved it, Socrates has solved it, and the Indians have solved it. Philosophically. The Westerners have not solved. Which is the fight you have between who? Marxists, socialists, liberals, all these fights. They still haven't told us what equality is. Each fellow says this is what it is and he fights. Okay? Amartya Sen, this is probably a good time to bring this up. Amartya Sen says there are 3 children now. Okay? Let's take this situation. We are engaging in what you call a thought experiment. There is a flute. There's only one flute. There's 3 children. One child says, I made this flute so it belongs to me. The other child says, only I can play the flute so it belongs to me. And the other child says that I am the poorest so it belongs to me. What is the decision you will make? You can only make an ideological decision based on if you are a socialist, libertarian, or a liberal. So how did the Indians and the Greeks solve this problem? Very interesting, but I won't tell that. Okay? These are the issues. Inequality. Go on. Equality, equal protection of law is positivist. No, this is negativist. It's worded negatively. You shall not be deprived. This is says the law will do this for you. Yeah? So it is more of a commitment given to black people. Right? இப்போ நம்ம கேட்போம்ல நீ சொல்றதுக்கு என்ன கேரண்டி சரி அது நான் லால ஒன்று போட்டு வச்சிடறேன் அவ்வளோதான் ரைட்டா இப்போ எட்மண்ட் பர்க்ஸ் என்ன சொன்னாரு there is no way to punish the multitude லால போட்டு வச்சிட்டீங்க but go look there's still inequality because now you can accuse them more strictly for convictions for the same crime. Black people have disproportionately high. You can see perhaps see the same with Dalits here, but again there's no good data on India to make any decision. That's the problem. Okay? The National Crime Bureau records against that and all, if you see, it will get very contradictory. It can still not help you make, it will not give you a clear picture about things. Because it's not properly done. A lot of things is hidden and a lot of ideology is built into it. But anyways, that's what these two mean, legal equality. Yes. Yeah, sure. It is a affirmative thing. You are punishing in some ways. Yeah. That is why I am saying reservation will not come here. That's a good correlate. Untouchability Act, Atrocities Act. இதெல்லாம் இந்த ரெண்டு லாமே வந்து பார்த்தோம்னா you're making a commitment. You're saying I'll punish if he discriminates you. Yeah. So reservation will not come under this equality at all. So you have to know what you're talking about when you say equality first. Okay. அதை விட ரோஸ் ஈக்குவாலிட்டி சோஷியல் ஜஸ்டிஸ் அதை விட ரோஸ் ஈக்குவாலிட்டியாவது சால்வ் பண்ணலாம். ஜஸ்டிஸோட ப்ராப்ளம் யூ ஸ்டில் நாட் சால்வ். இந்தியன்ஸ் அண்ட் கிரீக்ஸ் ஹவ் ஆல்சோ நாட் சால்வ். They have solved it, but it cannot be said. It is something which emerges. But we won't go into the Indians and the Greeks. I'm just telling you these things because you should explore for your own interest. If you're interested in talking about things to solve problems. If you want to create problems, you can talk about it in whatever terms you want. Okay? So, are you a problem solver or an activist? We'll go to the next one. Equality of opportunity. Where does this exist? Yeah. 15, 16, 16, sorry. 16. Public institutions and all that. Yeah. Now, this equality of opportunity basically says, this is a trick. Inge easy. It's easy to see that reservation will not come under that. Correct? Equality of opportunity la reservation varma? Parad. It simply means that everybody is equal. So if you assume everybody is equal, then you can ask for reservations. If you see the paradox, if you say they're unequal, then you ask for equal opportunity. So then how can you ask for equality? This is the argument that certain upper castes make. You see, this is the problem. This is a language and a problem. This is what the white people also say. You got it? That's a problem. So this is equality of opportunity simply means institutions should be thrown open to all. Nobody should be asked to not come to school. There should not be segregation in school, that sort of thing. But it is still a merit argument. You'll only understand all this if you go into what justice is, but we won't be doing that. Like I said, I'm only giving you a superficial snapshot. Each one of these you could study for about 10 days at least, 10, 15 days at least. Okay? So, your reservation does not come from any principle. It comes from this thought of John Rawls, who said that you should, from his theory of justice, Rawls' theory of justice in Tonurka. So, adila அவர் என்ன சொல்லுவார்னா, justice is when you have liberty, you have equality of opportunity, and then when the products of this equality of opportunity is distributed to the least well off. Now that's where your reservation argument lies. So you make positive discrimination, affirmative action. இதெல்லாம் அங்கிருந்தா வருது. ஓகேவா? But Indians we gave this before Rawls said it. Rawls comes only in the 70s, 60s, 70s. So we gave it before. They had to discover it. We already gave it. Just the way we discovered, we already gave rights to women, no. In the constitution, nobody debated whether women should get rights or not. Nobody debated whether Dalits should get political rights or not. In America, this was a debate. Voting rights. They have to discover things through reason, through that special access. You get it? We already know these things. Right? But then why are there problems? It's a different question. Yeah. யாரு? Procedural and intrinsic are opposite words. You have not understood them then. Intrinsic na natural law. Positive ங்கிறது legal. நீ lawல மட்டும் தான் எழுதுற. எது லாஸ்ட் மூலியமா? இன்ட்ரின்சிக்கா மாத்துறாங்களான்னு கேக்குறீங்களா? இன்ட்ரின்சிக்கா வருதான்னு கேக்குறீங்க? If you read your Constituent Assembly debates, it's very interesting because there are the Western educated individuals who talk in this language. But actually, when you're talking about intrinsic equality, it was discovered by Immanuel Kant much later. Okay? Notion of human rights and all that kind of thing. Immanuel Kant, it was earlier. But nammaloda constant, this is my take. I don't know what the objective truth is. Okay? We had Indian notions of seeing the world. You had the Western notions. Those two are conflicting. So when you get what is written, it is generally making the Western notion, rewriting it in Indian terms. But the problem is, those Indian terms have been lost and the Western theories are what remain today. So in other words, I'm making the claim that the language they used did not properly convey the intuitions. Right? If you see, I'm saying this based on a study of the Constituent Assembly debates. Right? For a very simple example, Dr. Ambedkar. You're making reservation, right? The question is social justice a normative claim? Is he making it a normative claim? Normative na, it is an ought statement. இது இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அவர் சொல்றாரா? அப்படின்னு சொல்லலாம். ஏன்னா அவர் ரிசர்வேஷன் வேணும்னு சொல்லி எழுதியிருக்காரு. But he puts a time limit on it. So it's a practical goal. That's very Indian. It's not a Western thing. It's not a universal principle, you see. Universal principle is beyond time. So he makes it an is. It's an example to prove my point. Right? The problem is most people who study Dr. Ambedkar make him into an idiot. Actually, he's a genius. When we hear our popular people talking about Ambedkarism and all that, they treat him like he's an idiot. Because the way they speak about him shows like he's a purely normative guy and he was saying, deriving ought from is, and he made logical fallacies. That's what they're saying. Which is why I say, if you want to defend Ambedkar or whoever you want to defend, understand them. Read them. If you want to read them, you have to read Western philosophy. Without that, you cannot defend them. Okay? It's a very, very simple thing that I want to say. Good conflict. Judges will tell you. I don't have access to that reason. But all I can tell you is the way you are going about solving these things is generating those problems. Okay? Equality of outcome. Who's concerned with this? Do we have equality of outcome in the Indian Constitution? Equality of outcome nenna? Okay? Equality of outcome na onnu illa. You don't consider the labor or the work at all, everybody should get things equally. That's what it means. For instance, now, okay, I'm taking class for 3 hours now, talking to you about equality in these terms. Okay? Somebody else comes, reads it from the book for, let's say, the same time for now. It means that I and he should get paid equally. Because outcome is equal. Because the question is, how do you measure work? Right? So the outcome should be equal. So it doesn't, they push it to an extreme also, Marxists, which is what they did. அவன் 10 நிமிஷம் பேசினாலும் நான் 1 மணி நேரம் பேசினாலும் outcome ஒண்ணா இருக்கணும். That is what equality of outcome is. So it doesn't take into consideration the quality of work. Now what does a lawyer say? That I go study so many years, therefore I charge so much fees because I did so much intellectual labor. A farmer toils day in and day out and he gets only X amount of rupees. Right? A Marxist would say make both of those equal. Give him the same equality as that one. It's hardly an acceptable solution. It is, I understand the place from where it comes from. From the fact that the farmers are getting oppressed or they're toiling it out and they don't have enough power, enough thing and all that. Right? So this entire equality debate is situated within the debate of justice, which I told you about Amartya Sen. You can argue it in many ways. You cannot logically come to a solution. We haven't solved the problem. Western philosophy has not solved this problem. The best you have is John Rawls saying you give reservation. And his idea is reservation will solve all the problems. But what is the scientific fact? Is reservation solving all problems or is it generating new ones? Now there are people who claim we want to become SCs. If Ambedkar was there, that's it. He would have been like, you idiots. Can you imagine? So unless you make the assumption that all good intentions result in good consequences, which is not scientific fact, you can't argue with any of these. Because we all know that. You may have good intentions, but things backfire in your arguments with your parents, mostly with your spouse or someone. Can happen. I had good intention, and நல்ல intentionல தான் சொன்னேன். புரிஞ்சுதா? It's a problem. Yeah. So this is what these words mean. Okay. Political equality. We know what it is. Equality, law related. In front of law. Equality before law. And இதெல்லாமே வந்து பார்த்தோம்னா, it is like I said, classifications. Theoretical terms கிடையாது. Okay. So political and civil liberties, they exist here. Now, political and civil equality, they exist here. Economic equality. Indian constitution la irka? Preamble எடுங்க. Equality of? இல்ல. அம்பேத்கர் அதை பத்தி எழுதல. ஈக்குவாலிட்டி எங்க இருக்கு? ஜஸ்டிஸ்ல இருக்கும். அப்ப அவர் ஜஸ்டிஸ் பத்தி யோசிச்சுட்டு இருந்திருக்காரு. அவர் ப்ராப்ளம் சால்வ் பண்ணாரா? இல்ல. ஆனா அவர் அந்த ப்ராஜெக்ட் எடுத்தாரு. அதனால தான் புத்திசம் படிக்க போனாரு. அங்கேயாவது எனக்கு ஆன்சர் கிடைக்குமான்ட்டு. புரியுதா? So, economic equality. This is what the Marxists call as freedom. Okay? So that is equality of outcome தான் வந்து economic equality. Everybody should get paid equally. That should be the principle. Equality is the principle. No matter what, you get paid that. Yeah, universal basic income will it won't count. ஏன்னு கேட்டோம்னா மார்க்சிஸ்ட் வந்து that economic equality has a political goal that everybody should be in the same place. Now நீங்க UBI கொடுத்தாலோ it benefits a rich person lesser than it benefits a poor person. It benefits the poor person more than it benefits a rich person. Correct. So then there's no equality of outcome. எல்லாருக்குமே ஈக்குவலா இருக்கணும். பிகினிங்ல இருந்து எல்லாமே ஈக்குவலா இருக்கணும். ரைட்டா? நீங்க நானும் எல்லாமே ஒரே ஹைட்ல இருக்கணும், ஒரே மூஞ்சி மாதிரி இருக்கணும், எல்லாமே ஒரே மாதிரி இருக்கணும். If you read 1984, George Orwell's Animal Farm, you can see this satire, political satire of Marxism. And also the Russian authors, Tolstoy and all these people, they talk about it. Yeah. So there's a famous quote, when Marxists talk about equality, George Orwell says, in Animal Farm booklet, there are these animals vying for equality. And they say, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Because the elites in Marxist society were more equal than others. They had a higher place, like your Lenins and all these people. They went and slaughtered everybody. Okay, it became the rule of the aristocrats. Yeah, so that is what happens. That will be coming and I told you they're situated, intertwined. So ரெண்டுமே வரும். Yeah, equality வரும், justice வரும் அதுல. But அதுல equalityங்கிற வார்த்தை யூஸ் பண்ணதுனால நீங்க equalityன்னு வெச்சுக்கோங்க. They co-arise, dependent co-arising. புத்தா சொன்னார்ல. அந்த மாதிரி தான். Okay. So kinds of equality. These are what you call the classifications of equality. Legal, natural equality, natural law, God given rights, we are all equal, that sort of thing. civil equality, political equality, social equality. இதுல தான் பிரச்சனை. So generally when our guys should talk about social justice, they mean the social equality. It means psychologically, actually you have to see me as a whole person. You have to see me as a human being. You have to recognize me as a something. It doesn't matter. Like, see, you get your reservation, all that, you still go to a university and somebody discriminates you there. And discrimination which you cannot prove in court of law. You get it? No, that's a psychological problem, social equality. So it is actually a very complex problem which philosophers have been occupied with. But you make that into a stupid problem and say equality, equality, equality. You just shout like it's going to appear. Right? So if you believe in miracles, that's fine. Oh yeah, so how do you look at this? Because there are infinite categories in which you can divide up the human species. What kind of equality? Which is why the Indian tradition said you have to be in balance with yourself, then you'll treat everybody properly. The Greeks said you do virtue ethics. For instance, I'll give you an example. Amartya Sen brings up this situation, no? So let us say now there is a mother. Okay, she has 3 children. She works all day and she's in extreme poverty. And she has 3 infant children. Okay, she has to take care of. With her money, she can buy only 3 pieces of bread. How should you divide it? How should she divide it? She also needs to eat. But what will she do? Come on. You have to think so much. See, you give it to the children, that's it. You don't sit and think need, justice. You don't sit and think need and merit and all this nonsense. But trust me, in the West they will think for this. Modern feminists will probably think this way.
I heard an argument that I was listening to a feminist, and she was making this way. Why women only have to, carry the children? That sort of thing.
That's okay, that's her political freedom, but it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve the problem, you see. So, you're going to solve that problem only when you have people with virtue or people with a certain understanding of the whole context who can then make those right decisions in that place, which is what you should be doing as a collector or an IPS or somebody. That was the point of the bureaucracy. Now, if you go, what you'll do? You'll speak the rules first. Correct? Rules them basing. Because you're being westernized without you itself knowing. You need a principle to act. But the principles are always conflicting, then how do you act? So you don't act, then you go into depression. And that's why you end up either becoming completely corrupt on one side, or you get depressed and you become an alcoholic, or you beat your wife, or whatever, you do something. Okay, that's what happens, generally speaking. Okay. And you could ask this, why don't we still have a theory of duties? There's no theory of duties. It exists in the Indian constitution. There's no theory of duties. Okay. Yeah. Dharma is duty. That's what Bhagavad Gita is all about. That is what deontology is, duty. But he comes up with a principle for duty. That is what Kant's problem is. You see that, and the conflicts ella prachana vandichilaya. So Kant came up with this idea called deontological ethics, and he comes up with the theory of duty, which is called the categorical imperative. You would have studied in ethics. Apparently that solves all the problems. So he says idiotic things. If somebody is coming to rape me, I should just get raped. Things like that. Universal. I should never try to kill him. I mean, these are your greatest philosophers of all time, by the way. Because they can write 1,000 pages. Okay, to arrive at things. Yeah, Kant did some good things. I don't want to critique him too much, but I have to be harsh on him in terms of his practicality. Okay, he had interesting ontology and metaphysics, but not in his actions. So we don't have a theory of duties. Actually, we don't have a theory, there's only one. Kant or the mattum Immanuel Kant. Okay, and that saved Western civilization when these principles were conflicting. And then your Rawls and all these people were pupils of Kant who came about. You call them the German Romantics. Yeah? So we don't have it yet. We don't have a proper theory of justice yet. We don't have, let me put it this way. We don't have theories of justice. We have one deontology. Yeah. We don't have a, okay, this is a better way to put it. We don't have a scientific theory of justice. We have a moral theory of justice. A moral theory of duties. Deontological ethics it's called. Okay. So Western ethical philosophy, அன்னைக்கு நம்ம பார்த்திருப்போம். Ontology, epistemology, ethics. Westerners பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் that ethics இருக்கு இல்லையா? It's the most superior branch of philosophy. Which is why you have so many ethical philosophers. More than 40, 50 sort of ethical philosophers. But for all the ethical philosophies that they have, the world is the most unethical, the world that they have created. Yeah. Because ethics exists within a world of ontology. And they don't have enough ontologies. There's only one ontology, which is the Judeo-Christian one. And that also half-baked, half-understood. It's going to seem like I'm brainwashing you guys or something. So like I said, you go check for yourselves and come up with your ideas or theories. Contradict me, I'm fine. Yeah. So, justice. When we speak about justice, we won't get too much into justice, okay? Because it's not, I can't say it's not that important. It's not that important for the exam in some ways. So, retributive justice. Punishments, rewards given for someone for doing something he, she has done. Okay? So, when people say deterrence, when they make an argument of deterrence, saying that Thukudandana Venu, they are arguing from this perspective. And this notion of retributive justice is directly related to positivist law. The positivists don't believe in anything universal of that sort. Okay? The positivists say economists are and the political philosophers and they're utilitarians. In the utilitarians say economists are and they're free market people. You get the correlation? So they are the positivists. Yeah? Distributive justice. This is your Rawls and reservation argument. Okay? You have to give or share things in a way where it privileges the least well off. That's the principle. Distributive justice. Okay? So this is the distributive justice in context of reservations. There's a lot of ways in which this distributive justice has been described by all these people. You don't have to, you can see it when you're free when I send the slide. I won't go into any of it. So just erase Plato from there from your minds if you can, because there's a huge misunderstanding about Plato. But others are all correct. Okay? The other two types of justice are restorative justice, which is the opposite of retributive justice. Restorative justice is de-addiction labs, your juvenile justice, all that. Rehabilitation. Yeah? Yeah? That's restorative justice. Okay? Yes, all that. Oh, mentally challenged to not be punished yeah, that will be a special fact to them being a human being. That would still, the attitude behind that would still be retributive. Okay. Well, Gandhi speaks about it in these ways, which is why it confuses the heck out of people. Okay. But actually what it does is restorative justice. Now what you're trying to do is, இல்லம்மா இல்ல ரீபேலன்ஸ் இது வந்து see no that would be equality. Restorative justice வந்து பார்த்தோம்னா see best idea is that it is to do with your prison system. How do you reform people so that they maximally express their personalities? So அந்த positive liberty பார்த்தோம் இல்லையா your freedom to அதோட philosophical aspect நான் சொல்லல. John Stuart Mill defines it as the freedom to express yourself, the freedom for the personality to shine ahead. The social welfare theorists speak about it in this way. The state should help you to do things so that you prevention வந்து will be a இது equality related. Yes. Okay, so that they may maximally express their personalities. The socialists and social welfare theorists will speak about it this way. Yeah, that is restorative justice. The capitalists will say he's an animal, he should die or something like that. Yeah. So juvenile justice, we hear that, no. We hear that from some people, no. 14 years இருந்தாலும் அவன் பண்ண வேலை இது, அதனால நம்ம இது பண்ணிக்கலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி மோஸ்டா யூட்டிலிட்டேரியன்ஸ் இவங்கெல்லாம் சொல்லுவாங்க. டிட்டரன்ஸ் ரிலேட்டட் பீப்புள், பாசிட்டிவிஸ்ட்ஸ் will say that. These people will say that no, need to train him and do that sort of thing. Yeah. Now what would Plato or Socrates say? Yeah. Not in practice, but they have, no. They try to do rehabilitation and all that. Well, she tried to do it. இங்க தான் வந்து என்னடானா in practice வந்து US bureaucrats have immense power to do it. Kiran Bedi tried doing this. Restorative justice. When she went to, what is that jail? Tihar. She tried doing this. And it is her blueprint that's being used over there in the US. She presented it to Hillary and Bill. Not my next door neighbors, the Clintons. Yeah. So, and that is what is being implemented there. A lot of her ideas were based on her Indian intuitions. She doesn't do any thinking and principle. She does a lot of things on the ground, seeing what the situation is. Yeah. So she first made them de-addict themselves. You can read her book, I Dare. Apart from the fact that there's too much I in that book, the book is a good one. Yeah. So procedural justice. Yeah. This is the procedure followed by law. புரிஞ்சுதா? கோரிலேஷன்ஸ் இப்போ மைண்ட்ல கோரிலேட் ஆகுதா? எல்லாமே கோரிலேட் பண்ற நாலேஜ் தான் தியரிட்டிக்கல் நாலேஜ். இண்டிவிஜுவல் ஃபேக்ட் வந்து உங்களுக்கு எதையும் கொடுக்காது. கோரிலேட்ஸ் தான் வந்து உங்களுக்கு எல்லாம் இட் வில் கிவ். ஓகே, ஸோ இப்போ தியரிஸ் முடிஞ்சது. நவ் ஆஃப்டர் திஸ் இட்ஸ் ஆல் வெரி வெரி ஈஸி. வில் ஜஸ்ட் கோ த்ரூ தீஸ். டெமோக்ரஸி இன் டர்ம்ஸ் ஆஃப் ஹவு பீப்புள் ஆர் எலெக்டட். ஓகே, within your procedural aspect, you can divide it into direct and indirect. Direct democracy, obviously you have these four: plebiscite, recall, initiative, referendum. It's in your textbooks. And then indirect democracy, representative democracy. It's called representative democracy. First past the post system we use for Lok Sabha elections, MLAs. Proportional for your presidential, Rajya Sabha elections. Mixed voting, something we don't have. Germany has it. Things like that. Okay, these are your methods. You can say the methods of democracy. Yeah. Or you can say the engineering of democracy. This is the engineering aspect of democracy. So you have science and you have engineering, right? Yeah. So you have an Einstein who does the theory, and then you have an Edward Hubble who comes up with the telescope to see things. Yeah, to find out if that theory is right or not. So this is the engineering aspect of it. Okay. So next concept, sovereignty. Three kinds of sovereignty: legal, political, popular. You itself can explain now. Legal will be related to what? Your positivist law. Yeah, the rules that you make. Hobbes came up with it. Which country will have legal? In the country la legal irundirukum first? UK. Avladhaan. Okay. Political sovereignty. Yaar kitta irundhu vandirukom? What is political sovereignty? The government that you elect becomes the political sovereign. அது எங்க இருந்து வந்திருக்கும்? மெஜாரிட்டி மூலமா தான் சேஞ்ச் வரும்னு சொன்னது யாரு? USA. லாக். ஆமா, பட் அவங்களுக்கு வந்து இது ஒண்ணு மட்டும்தான். See, you can say they have இந்த லீகல் இருக்கு இல்லையா, இந்த லீகல்குள்ள ஒரு பொலிட்டிக்கல் அடங்கி இருக்குன்னு சொல்லலாம். யூகேல. யூஎஸ்ஏல என்ன ஆகுதுன்னா, இப்போ பொலிட்டிக்கல் சாவரனிட்டி வந்து என்ன சொல்றாருன்னா, இப்போ லாக்க பத்தி நான் உங்ககிட்ட சொன்னேன். அவர் என்ன சொன்னாரு, பிளாக் பீப்புளுக்கு வந்து ஜட்ஜஸ் வந்து ப்ரொடெக்ட் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு, அதனால அந்த சுப்ரீம் கோர்ட்டுக்கு இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் வந்துச்சு. ரைட்டா? அப்போ என்ன கேக்குறாங்கன்னா, நீங்க வந்து அப்போ யாரு சுப்ரீம்னு சொல்றீங்க, ஜட்ஜஸா இல்ல வந்து பீப்புளா அப்படின்னு சொல்லி ஒன்று கேட்குறாங்க. அதுக்கு அந்த ஆன்சர் வந்து சாட்டிஸ்ஃபேக்டரி கிடையாது, மல்பிடுறாரு. ஹி சேயிங் பொலிட்டிக்கல் சாவரனிட்டி சேஞ்ச் மெஜாரிட்டி கேன் பிரிங் அபவுட் இட். ஏன்னு கேட்டோம்னா, லிங்கன் வாஸ் அ ஒயிட் மேன், பட் he recognized and fought for rights of the black people. So he says political sovereignty is fine, it's there with the government which comes to power. It can be expressed there itself. அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு, this is a contradiction. I told you there's always a contradiction, a fight between these two. Locke is the culprit. Okay, see how one thought changes the world. When people say I think therefore I am, or one thought changes the world. Yeah, it's not a simple thing. You have to be trained to think. It's not a joke, right? Reflections and all these sort of things, right? To understand these even. So you can see all that. Okay, popular sovereignty. Somebody was unhappy with this idea because John Stuart Mill came after Locke and he coined this term, tyranny of the majority. You cannot trust the majority to do it, because even after black people got rights, there was racial segregation in school. நம்ம ஊரு சேரி மாதிரி, there's a division. So they said you cannot trust on that also. So you need something more than that, and therefore you get popular sovereignty. Okay, now popular sovereignty ல வந்து என்ன இருக்கு, will of who, the people. He says நீங்க கவர்மெண்ட் நம்ப முடியாது, கவர்மெண்ட் தான் பீப்புளை கரப்ட் பண்ணுது. பீப்புள் நல்லவங்க தான். லிங்கன் இல்ல, இப்போ ஒரு you can talk about white people for instance who fought for Dalit rights. For instance, let's use the Indian examples. So காந்தி நல்லவர் தான், காந்தி வந்து தலித்ஸ்க்கு ஃபைட் பண்ணாரு. பட் இந்த கவர்மெண்ட் இருக்கானுங்க இல்லையா, கர்ணன் படம் பாத்தீங்கன்னா தெரியும், இந்த கவர்மெண்ட் இருக்கான் இல்லையா, அவன் தான் பிரச்சனை. அப்ப என்ன பண்ணணும், நீங்க பீப்புள் கிட்டயே சாவரனிட்டியை விட்டுறணும். therefore popular sovereignty. ஆனா இந்த பாப்புலர் சாவரனிட்டியில ஒரு பிரச்சனை, அவன் திருப்பி ஒயிட் பீப்புள் மாதிரி ஆனானா. இப்ப காந்தி ஒருத்தர் தான் இருக்கிறாரு, ரைட்டா? இப்போ ஒரு 100 sort of what can you say, 100 sort of certain kinds of people who are into discrimination, right? You can use certain, the colors that I'm talking about. So if they are into that sort of a thing, right, instead of one Gandhi, let's say there are hundreds of these people, then they're going to make the laws, there's going to be a problem, right? So then popular sovereignty means you trust the people, but you trust people like Gandhi who will automatically get popular because people can make those decisions. Therefore, or 100 people like Gandhi, like our constituent assembly, come together and make a law, and they have more say over everybody else. Now that is popular sovereignty. Your constituent assembly, enlightened men making the laws, constituent assembly, which is your inga enna enlightened judges, inga enlightened people within this, that is popular sovereignty. Got it? That is Rousseau, the French people came up with that idea, the French philosophers. Okay, fine. Is it very clear? Much clearer than before, or much more unclear than before? If it's a mix of both, then I have succeeded. If you're clear and unclear at the same time, then you have succeeded, then I have succeeded. Okay, so what's a nation? We know this, very easy. Idella chumma revision ku dhaan potta. Nation is a cultural entity. It's not a political or a construct. It's not a construct in terms of government. So for instance, the American Indians, the natives, call themselves the free nation people, and there were about 400 nations who the white people kill, because they are below black people. They are like, I think, 20% human being in their calculation, their scientific calculation. Yeah. So then there's nation state. Nation stateங்கிற idea வந்து, this is what we mean when we say countries and all that these days. Treaty of Westphalia. சரியா? Treaty of Westphalia, this idea of nation state comes. இதுக்கு வந்து 4 criteria. So nation stateக்கும் nationக்கும் என்ன வித்தியாசம்? Political theory தான் வித்தியாசம். ஓகே, இதனால தான் இந்தியாவுக்கும் இந்த ரைட் விங்கர்ஸ்க்கும் லெஃப்ட் விங்கர்ஸ்க்கும் இந்தியாவில் ஒரு சண்டை வரும். இந்தியா வந்து 1940ஸ்க்கு அப்புறம் தான் நேஷனா, அதுக்கு முன்னாடியே நேஷனா, நேஷன் ஸ்டேட்டா அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. இவங்க என்ன சொல்லுவாங்கன்னா, இல்லை வி ஆர் எ நேஷன் ஸ்டேட். அவங்க என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க, இல்லை யூ ஆர் நாட், இட் வில் பி கோயிங் ஆன். ஓகே, so we are actually fighting Western problems, which is why we cannot understand our problems. And those Western problems, along with our problems, creates infinite problems. Yeah, this is the argument of infinite regression. Anyways, doctrines of law, these are easy. You know, these are 2 criteria we use. Reasonableness, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. Next one is innocent before proven guilty. These are 2 principles. You just have to know that. So idella vandu I think you just read on your own, because I want to stop the class more or less. Okay, I put this up in the slides which you can look it up. These are all reading, there's nothing to do with theory. Now once I give you the theory, you can pick this up yourself. Okay, colorable legislation, harmonious construction, eclipse, ancillary powers, severability, territorial nexus, laches, doctrine of waiver. Finally, last few slides. Oh, we've already gone through this. Judicial review, paathutomla, legislative and that process. Due process paathutom, right? Maneka Gandhi case. Substantive versus procedural paathutom. Okay, now this is the Dicey's rule of law. Okay, this Dicey fellow is another headache. Okay, so what is this? Supremacy of law. So first one, he says supremacy of laws should be there. இது மூணுமே இருந்துச்சுன்னா அந்த இது வந்து ஒரு கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷனல் டெமோக்ரஸி அப்படின்னு சொல்லி சொல்லுவாரு. ஓகே, ஈக்குவாலிட்டி ஆஃப் பிஃபோர் லா, யா ஈக்குவாலிட்டி. And last one, they say supremacy of individual. Correcta? Amama. You know, see, even BL students, to understand political theory, you see, if you are a good political theorist, no, you'll make a brilliant lawyer because you know all the loopholes. You can argue anyway. Yeah, because a lot of the political philosopher, my professor and all, they were all called for millions of rupees to go and argue in these big firms because their papers were so impressive, but he didn't take it up because he saw the entire system was screwed up in many ways. Yeah, so there were things like that happen. So the constitution, because see, to understand law first, or the legal and terms we talk about, you have to understand Western philosophy. And to understand Western philosophy, you have to understand Western culture. To understand Western culture, you have to understand Judeo-Christian culture. That is not problem. It's not possible. See, when I took up political economy in my second year because I was tired of studying psychology and this history. So when I took up political economy, I didn't find answers. So I went and I took up religion to study that. Then I was like, these correlations are insane. Yeah, it makes perfect sense now that I take it. And then if you look back at European universities, they had only 2 departments. Science department, theology department. Theology department became religion department and law department. Law department became legal department and ethical philosophy department. Science became physics, chemistry, geography, whatever went on that way. Okay, so this is how it existed. That's their history. Yeah. Next is equality before law, and then predominance of supremacy of individual. He says, "This India lilla, therefore India is a whatever." Yeah, constitutionalism is not proper in India and all that. So, inge constitutional morality pati potirken. So, whatever this thing means. So, from this source that I took, they were talking about it in terms of because it's a legal website. They were talking about it in terms of the judiciary protecting the minorities. Yeah, which is more of the American argument. Okay, people, if they say that now, if you see mostly the guy whoever occupies legislative with full majority, he will always say that We have the will of the people. That fellow will say, no, 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 you depend on the Supreme Court to give your judgment, right? But Supreme Court in India, we know what happens. Because if you believe that Supreme Court has some sort of access to this primordial wisdom or something like that, not necessarily, no, because they come from the same society. Yeah. So that's what I want. This is a term that was the meaning that we were supposed to find the meaning of this term for us as Indians. But we have not even understood the terms in our preamble yet. That's the issue. Only after doing all that you can come here. Yeah. So golden triangles of rights. What are the 4 golden triangles? 14, 19, 21. They are called the golden triangle. I told you why. We just saw Western history. Life, liberty, property. Yeah, freedom to, freedom from, negative liberty, positive liberties. Yeah, this is the welfare kind of people. Right to. Life, liberty and property, the primary right. Yeah, we saw all of that already. Okay, this is called the golden triangle. So when Supreme Court reads and makes judgments, it refers to all these 3. Okay, but nowadays the quality of judgments, it's difficult to see any sort of logic or follow through in the arguments. Yeah, because when you know, see, if you're a mathematician or even a physicist, when you are doing certain things, you add 2 plus 2 plus 2, you know that the solution somewhere is going to be a 6 or an 8 or something. You have a brief idea, right? Now this is like following their arguments, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, suddenly there's a rabbit. It's like a mind bender. You can't understand what happened there. Andalavukku irukku ipodhikku judgments oda quality. It's gone down, which P.B. Mehta is always criticizing. Okay, so freedom of speech and expression. You know the limitations on it. Please revise this. 8 irukku. The freedom of speech and expression, yeah, avlo important. Can you imagine? John Stuart Mill, freedom of speech and expression is very important because this is the only way to fight the tyranny of the majority. But why this freedom of speech and expression? Logos. The word was God, the word was with God, man became flesh and then he speaks. Okay. Life and liberty, all these rights that we have. So federalism, I have already gone through these concepts in my federalism class, so please go revise. Symmetric, asymmetric, India is considered asymmetric. We know why? We know why? Somebody explain it to me in short. Yeah, good way to put it. And also that states came after the center. States didn't give rise to the center. Yeah, therefore asymmetric and symmetric. Centripetal, centrifugal. This is the way the power flows. One is towards, this is towards, this is away from center, right? Fugal is away from center. This is towards center. And then India is considered an administrative federalism for convenience. Legislative federalism means they have territorial integrity. Like you will have 2 citizenships like the US, that kind of thing. Okay, I'm not going into theories of federalism. You don't need it. So thinkers and ideologies, this is the last slide. So I just want you to quickly derive. We are done with this, but I want to see if you can derive a few things. What is the time? 11:46. So for 5-10 minutes and we are done. I hope this was a meaningful class. Seri. Now let us put categories. Equality, liberty, and this you can further divide and everything. Okay. Now let's see how to think about these cases. Marx, what kind of equality is for? இப்போ ஈக்குவாலிட்டி எல்லாமே படிச்சோம்ல. Outcome, correct? Super. What about liberty? False consciousness. Liberty is for idiots. Equality is the only truth. Truth of whom, you may ask? Okay, there's no liberties. That's why in Soviet Russia, you didn't have any political liberty, but you had social equality. Everybody was equal, but they were all equally poor and they were all starving equally. Yeah. That's the problem. Equality of poverty. That's what it was. Okay. So when you express it in these terms, it takes on a different idea. Yeah. So justice is what? When the proletariat goes and kills all the bourgeoisie, there's a revolution, bloodshed, and they take rule. That is justice. That's Marx. Okay. Gandhi, most difficult personality, because I don't know half the time if he knows what he's talking about or if he's evolving what he's talking about. Gandhian notion of justice. Okay, Gandhian notion of equality enna? Very difficult to plot. Yeah. So, so Gandhi, you can say for now it was because he's talking from the standpoint of the Indian traditions. It's very difficult to pin down Gandhi, which is why Westerners will come. They won't understand Gandhi, and then they'll say he's an idiot, which most Indians will also say, mindlessly. Which is why see, Gandhi was a failed lawyer, okay. He didn't even understand the political theories properly. You have to know that first. Okay, Ambedkar was a hit lawyer, so he understood. That is why intellectually you can follow Ambedkar, what he's saying, but you can understand the dilemmas he's in as a thinker. But with Gandhi, apdi illa. Gandhi is half somewhere there and everywhere into the Indian traditions. So Gandhian theories are all ahimsa, swaraj, all this. This we can kind of explain what it is. And what is the other one? Sarvodaya is his economic concept. So Gandhi was trying to evolve Indian theories. So we have theories for these. We don't have theories for those. Now when Gandhi talks, he will put equality into this. Rawls. Huh? Sarvodaya வேணா நம்ம வச்சுக்கலாம். Okay. Yeah. Now Gandhi வந்து பார்த்தோம்னா, so okay, we'll go to Ambedkar and then we'll come back to Ambedkar and Gandhi. What about Ambedkar's liberty? Everything is in the preamble. Dr. Ambedkar's ideas. Okay. Justice, his idea of justice, he is still trying. My theory is that he had mentioned those things as justice in the preamble, right? Justice, social, economic, political, and all that. But if you see that principle versus how he acted and his other sort of dilemmas, if you read his other books, he hasn't defined what justice is. Okay? He hasn't solved that dilemma. Because Western philosophy hasn't solved the dilemma. And he was educated where? Was he educated in the Upanishads or something? No, he was against it. He was educated under John Dewey, who's his teacher. John Dewey is a student of who? Jeremy Bentham. Yeah. What preamble says is Ambedkar's stance, okay, of justice, which will include all, economic included. So in some ways, when he said economic justice, he must have meant, in my idea, some kind of reasonable kind of a reward for what you're doing. Not this need and merit and all this sort of thing, not one thing. When you're reading Ambedkar, you'll feel that. He'll talk about all of it. இதுவும் இருக்கணும், அதுவும் இருக்கணும், அதெல்லாம் இருக்கணும், ஒரு மாதிரி தான் பேசுவார். இதுதான் இருக்கணும்னு சொல்ல மாட்டார் அவர். ஒரு இன்டெலெக்சுவல் எப்பவுமே அப்படி சொல்ல மாட்டான், ஒரு ஐடியாலாக் மட்டும்தான் அப்படி பேசுவான். You have to understand that. Okay. So generally, if you see Ambedkar's, this is why I say you should, that project of Ambedkar, somebody should take it up and do work on it. I mean, I've read for the amount he's written, I've read just a bit. Right? The sad situation is, people have not read even that. Okay, there's a huge project left there, which needs to be taken up by people, but in an educated way. Okay, Nehru's idea of states, socialist, each according to his work, not need, each according to his work. Okay, his economic ideas, liberties, all the Western notions of liberties, which is like Lockean ideas. He's a mix of like Locke and Rousseau and all these people. Okay, so he doesn't have clear theories or views actually. நம்ம நெஹ்ருவும் வந்து பார்த்தோம்னா இஸ் மோர் இன் த சோஷியல் வெல்ஃபேர் திங். இன் சர்டன் ஏரியாஸ் லிபர்ட்டிஸ் பற்றி பேசும்போது ஹீஸ் அ லிபரல், பட் economics பற்றி பேசும்போது ஹீஸ் அ சோஷியலிஸ்ட். ஸோ இஸ் அ மிக்ஸ். Okay, so that's the thing. Now then we have the last two philosophies. Now feminism. Yeah. So do feminisms, what is liberty according to feminism? Is it positive liberty or negative liberty? Freedom to or freedom from? ரெண்டுமே. Yeah. But அவங்க வந்து எங்க டிஃபர் ஆறாங்க? We have been left out of that debate. So we want to be in that debate. That was first wave feminism. They got political rights. Equality didn't come. Now what do? You say we want to go to work because that is where we are being oppressed. Okay? That is second wave feminism. So women are reasonably going to work today in Western countries. India, pretty much okay. Villages, still a challenge. Still a challenge within families, but with some conflict possible. Largely you can go to work. There are challenges, but nothing stops you from going there. And you have laws to support you to go also. Right? You have different kinds of laws. Did equality come about? No. Yeah. Now third wave feminism. What is equality? Radical feminism. I want to do everything that you are doing because I feel like you have freedom. Except that men are mostly killing themselves and in depression. Or they were. Now women are doing the same thing, imitating the same men, thinking they had the solution. You know, this enlightened self-interest. And the same is happening to women. That's what radical feminism is happening with radical feminism. Okay, they go into the difference between gender and sex and all that. Okay? Because அங்கே போஸ்ட் மாடர்னிசமில் நடுவில் ஒரு கொலாபரேஷன் நடந்திருக்கும். அங்கே என்ன பண்ணியிருப்பானுங்கன்னா நாலேஜ்ன்ட்டே ஒன்றும் இல்லை, சயின்ஸுங்கிறதே ஒன்றும் இல்லை, எல்லாமே பவர் தான் அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருப்பானுங்க. அப்போ நீ எப்படி வேணாலும் பேசலாம், நீ சொல்கிறது உன்னோட ஈகோ, நீ சொல்கிறத நீ தான் பெரிய கொம்பு, அவ்வளோதான். there's nothing else to human history except power அப்படின்ற ஒரு philosophy இருக்கு. That's what radical feminism comes under, postmodern, whatever. Subaltern theories of state. There is something which very unique can emerge from that subaltern thinkers, except we don't have many in India. Okay, subaltern term refers to people who have been left out, right? Dalits, scheduled tribes, that sort of a thing. People who have been left out of the mainstream. Yeah. Now, if you looked at this movie Karnan, it's a very interesting presentation. When the police officer is there, is that a caste problem, a class problem, or a state versus individual problem? It's all three. You can't say one or the other, it's all three. It was a very, very deep insight. It's a modern problem. It was a presentation, it was brilliant. It was a very insightful movie. It is not like you make an easy villain out of somebody. Easy villain out of somebody is good for storytelling and to get enraged. It's good. It's good entertainment because it elicits your passions. It's good in that way. It's not for the mind. The mind requires a capturing of reality and presentation of it in a certain way. Now this Karnan was a class apart. I was really impressed by this movie. So deep. Nobody can dismiss that as a Western notion. Because all the rituals, the archetypes were all alive. Right? You had this idea of a shaman. You know, this little girl coming about. The realm of psychology. So it was brilliant. It was done very well. Right? You cannot dismiss that movie at all lightly. And if anybody is dismissing it, I feel like they have agendas. Yeah. Other movies you can debate. I feel so. Because it is just repeating stories that we know. Or the general good guy, bad guy sort of a thing, and easy things between whatever. Yeah. So I think, which is why I feel like if there is a new thinker that's going to emerge, it has to be from the subaltern area. Even better a subaltern woman. Because they can see things more clearly. It's my feeling. And I hope that somebody takes up that project from here. Yeah? Like I said, problems have not been solved yet. Okay? So this is about it. And as far as the exam is concerned, now you know the theory, you can make your correlations, and hopefully it has sharpened your intuition. So that you know what they're talking about. இல்லைனா நீங்க மெமரியில அந்த வேர்டை பார்த்துருக்கணும், அப்பதான் நீங்க ஆன்சர் பண்ண முடியும். இப்போ ஐடியா, அந்த வேர்டுக்கு பின்னாடி இருக்கிற ஐடியா அண்ட் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் புரியுதா? அது தெரிஞ்சதுன்னா உங்க இன்ட்யூஷன் பெட்டரா இருக்கும். Got it? Yeah? Any questions? I think we'll close for today. We're done. Any questions? So was Ambedkar. Ambedkar, Gandhi fought everywhere. Everything they debated. They both didn't like parliamentary democracy. For different reasons. Ambedkar didn't believe in the majority. Gandhi didn't believe in the state. Ambedkar believed in the state. Now, Mari Selvaraj says, both are problematic. State is also oppressing me. Majority is also oppressing me. Yeah, it was a brilliant one. I was truly, I don't think political thinkers and so-called intellectuals have this sort of a complexity when they presented an issue. There's so much in that movie going on. Even if you want to look at it from political economy perspective. I'm not even going into the religious perspective or the, what you call the spiritual perspective of things. Not even going into that. That was even more at a complex level, psychological level of it. Yeah. But even from a political theorist perspective, just a regular political guy who knows these terms, you should be able to, you could have seen that it was a very interesting sort of a presentation. I hope you have. Something you can watch. You take time off and watch it if you get. Oh yeah. People thought it's an action movie. But you look at that movie, see what I'm saying. That policeman stands for the state. State is a problem. Caste is a problem. Class is also a problem. Now, why are these problems arising? Because all these problems have theories behind them. When you say thought structures create problems, these are the problems it will create. And now, if I make an even more radical claim, and I off pannirunga. Okay, va? An even more radical claim. Now, all those thought structures generate problems. But these thought structures are problems where? In Christian theology first, and then in political theory, which carries on. Only if you solve the problem of Christian theology, you can solve these problems. According to me, I've read Christian theology, you cannot solve that problem, logically. Logically, you can solve it in one place, heaven. It's not possible. But the Indians and the Greeks, you can solve the problems. Indians better than the Greeks. Indian thinking better than Greek thinking. So next time, before you cheaply dismiss something from here, think about it. And when you use these words, think about it. That's all I can say. Okay, when we talk about civic responsibility, you have to understand these things first. And I don't know why we haven't been educated in this way yet, in terms of knowing these words and everything. I seriously don't know why it hasn't happened. It's been, I don't know how many years since independence, but we don't learn civics this way. Right? So it's sad. Because the West is busy studying us and saying, you're post-colonial, you're feminist, you fight this way, they're oppressing you, that fellow is oppressing you, but you haven't studied that fellow yet. Okay? Because the language and the experience you use is his. And yeah, that's it. I'll close with this.